Hey guys, Sublord here, back again with another edition of Flashback Fridays, and what I have for you today is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Rider series, Ghost Rider. Now for those of you sitting at home wondering, Overlord, why the detour from the DC Multiverse animated figures from McFarlane Toys? I thought you were going to review all the ones you hadn't already reviewed. Well, you are right. At least partially. Because it occurred to me this past week that my boy Ghost Rider here turns 50 today. That's right. It was on this day in 1972 that good old Johnny Blaze struck a deal with the demon Mephisto, selling his soul, bonding with Zarathos, becoming the infamous spirit of vengeance known as the Ghost Rider. So, to commemorate one of the most awesome comic book characters of all time, fight me in the comments if you will lose, I decided to take a look at my favorite action figure of Johnny Blaze, brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro. So before we get into the meat and taters of this review, since I no longer have the packaging for this figure, let us first take a look-see at his accessories. Starting off with his Hellfire Chain. It's just one sculpted piece, there's no bendy wire or anything in there, but it does fade from the silver to the translucent orange. And for those of you who remember way back in 2020 when I reviewed the Cosmic Ghost Rider, which was Frank Castle taking the mantle of Spirit of Vengeance, you know that he came with this very same accessory. I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually get a Danny Ketch, not sure when that'll be. He will come with this as well. That said, what would the Spirit of Vengeance be without his Hell Cycle? That's right. Ghost Rider ain't squat without his infamous Hell Cycle. It's like Captain America without his shield. It's like Punisher without a gun. It's like Thor without his hammer, man. You gotta have the Hell Cycle if you're gonna have one of the Ghost Riders that utilizes a Hell Cycle, that is. I know some of them have different mounts, like the Caretaker has a horse. There's a Hindu one that rides an elephant, I believe, along with a prehistoric one. And then, of course, Robbie Reyes, the one that a lot of people are probably more familiar with these days, has the Hell Charger, which may potentially be a HasLab that your boy's not going to pass on. So we'll see about all that. But this is pretty much the same motorcycle mold as the Punisher bike I looked at, also back in 2020. A lot of references to that year. It was a good year for Legends. It does have the handlebars that pop off, so that's about the only difference I think that this one has compared to that Punisher bike. That, and it does have this little flame on the back that is permanently glued on. That said, the Hell Cycle does have its own set of accessories, like this shield piece, which mounts onto the front, which I know not a lot of people are crazy about this shield piece, my good buddy Brian Starner of Toy Nutsa included, but I don't mind it, but you can't beat the traditional motorcycle look. That's what Ghost Rider's most known for. That said, Hell Cycle also comes with some clip-on flames for both the front as well as the back. This is quite a couple chunks of plastic, if I do say so myself. But to save on time, I will attach all that stuff off camera, and we'll cut back to that before size comparisons. That said, it should also be worth noting that the Hell Cycle does have a kickstand, which is very useful from keeping it from falling on its butt kiss. So that is nice. That said, it almost can stand on its own. Almost. But it does roll. It's got clear yellow wheels here. Again, that little flame on the back, and then it's got the same kind of blue light blue paint app that Ghost Rider has. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a closer look at good old Johnny Blaze here with quite the overbite, I might add. Now, I say that because this figure was originally released in the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, which was a Spider-Man wave, of course, because Rhino is a Spider-Man villain after all. That said, he was a variant, in a way, to Misty Knight. They were known as the Heroes for Hire, which I can only assume is a comic book run that Ghost Rider appeared in around the mid-2000s, I want to say. Was when they started bringing that comic run in. That said, that figure did not have this overbite, so I'm not sure what happened there, but it is what it is. I will say, if anything, this head sculpt is a lot better painted than the previous version, so I have to commemorate Hasbro on that, because they blackened out the eyes. He's got the red pupils in there, still has the hinged jaw, it works great. You can pop this off, but I'd be very, very careful with this peg. It is clear plastic, and while it does have some flex to it, while I wouldn't say this is the tightest fit, especially nowadays since I have popped it on and off a few times now, you don't want to break that, because this figure ain't cheap no more. This thing is pushing $1.50 to $2 on eBay. The one without the bike, almost just as much. So, be careful. And don't break your toys, guys, because chances are you ain't going to be able to replace them, at least not easily. Or, maybe hold out and they'll make another Johnny Blaze that's pinless, because this guy does have the pins that don't match with the design. I think on the outside, I think he's got the dark colored pins. But that's not that bad. It's just a light blue stripe. It could be worse, really. That and those pins are pretty deep as far as how deep they're recessed in there, so you can't really see it anyways. But as far as articulation on this figure goes, he just has a single ball peg in the head, moves around, a lot of attitude, a lot of up and down, no real lollipop to speak of. Looks like his head is proportionate to the shoulders, so that's nice. Shoulders go out to the side, they go back down, they rotate all the way around here. It's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, which gives you pretty good range. Not terrible, considering he has a glove. He does have a swivel and a hinge in the wrist. I don't believe the hands pop out on this guy. Let me try. No, they don't. Those aren't in there. Those are not coming out without a little bit of heat and elbow grease. So don't try to pop the hands off. Without heat, that is. Ab crunch clicks that far forward, clicks that far back. We'll say the paint is not the cleanest on this guy. The light blue is a little bit messy in places. You can see that they kind of missed the mark here and there, but it's light blue paint on dark blue plastic. It's not going to look the best anyways. His hips do kick forward. They kick back down. He's got a thigh cut. His hips do also kick out to the side a little bit, not a ton. He has a double joint at the knee, and he does have a single hinge in the foot with a rocker joint, because you're not going to have two hinges in your foot. Dumbass. I say that from time to time. I'm still perplexed as to why. He does have peg holes at the bottom of the feet. I will say my only real gripe is that in the Toy Biz days, the little foot pegs on the bikes used to have little pegs for the feet to snap onto, so they would stay on there a little bit more securely, but this guy, not the case. I do wish that was a thing. But it is what it is. He does sit on the bike pretty well. And he does have a nice tight grip on those handlebars. So he's not going to fall off per se, but I would have liked a little bit more stability. Just a little bit. I will say my particular figure is a little bit loose because he has been sitting on the bike for so long. And he has gotten his fair share of getting kicked across the floor because where he's sitting. He's actually been sitting right next to my review set for well over a year now. I can't remember when I put him there, but he's been hanging out for a hot minute to say the very least. So with that being said, you guys already know I love this figure because I love Ghost Rider. He is my favorite comic book character of all time, favorite fictional character of all time, and probably favorite character in general of all time. And I figured I would put this review out there to show my love for the character, my respect for the character, and to maybe bring him into the spotlight, because a lot of people probably don't know it's the 50th anniversary of Ghost Rider, because Marvel sure as hell doesn't seem to give a shit about him right now. So, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. But I think it's high time this character finally gets the respect that he truly deserves. So, with that being said, before we move on to some size comparisons, let's take a closer look at how the Spirit of Vengeance looks atop his mighty Hell Cycle. And as promised, here is Ghost Rider atop his mighty Hell Cycle with the shield and without the shield. And I gotta tell you, as much as I'm kind of 50-50 on this shield piece, it does add a little bit of character to the bike. It gives it a more hellish look. This just looks like a motorcycle on fire, which I know that's kind of what Ghost Rider is, but I think the shield does give it a little bit more character. It makes it stand out compared to the rest of the motorcycles we've gotten in the Marvel Legends line. But with that being said, let us now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our Rider Series Ghost Rider next to his previous Marvel Legends counterparts. We have the Toy Biz Series 7 Ghost Rider, which did have a variant with a mid-transformation head and a more traditional style costume. And then we have the one from the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave with a metal chain that I gave him quite some time ago. He did not originally come with that, but taking a look at these three figures right here, you can see just how far Hasbro has come as far as the development and overall improvement of the Marvel Legends line. Because while these two figures right here are good, the Rider Series one is just a little bit better. Next up, here's our Marvel Legends Ghost Rider next to a couple of smaller offerings from the Marvel Universe line from Hasbro and Marvel 5-inch line from Toy Biz. Now, it should be worth noting, much like its Marvel Legends counterparts, the Marvel Universe figure was re-released later down the line in different colors right before they changed the branding to Marvel Legends, I believe. But unfortunately, we never did get a Hell Cycle for that line, so fingers crossed for the new Marvel Retro 3-inch line. Maybe we'll get a Ghost Rider with Hell Cycle there. I'm here for it. Up next, and wrapping up the Ghost Rider comparisons, here is our Marvel Legends Ghost Rider next to the Marvel Select Ghost Rider. And much like the Ghost Rider from the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, I hooked him up with that chain quite some time ago. He did not come with that originally. That said, for all you guys out there thinking that I'm a total poser and not a true Ghost Rider fan, y'all can just suck my tailpipe, because through these comparisons, I'm 110% sure that I've proven my worth as far as being a die-hard Ghost Rider fan is concerned. For your Hell Cycle comparison, here is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Hell Cycle next to the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Hell Cycle, both of which featuring that big shield on the front, which, if memory serves me right, was more of a thing in the 80s, not so much the 70s or really after that. Now, it should be worth noting that Toy Biz also made a Hell Cycle for the Marvel 5-inch line, but I unfortunately do not have that at this current time because it is much too expensive on the secondary market. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus. Limited Spawn, as usual, towers over everyone. But since we are on the topic of favorite characters, here is Johnny Blaze once again next to the Limited Spawn, as well as the NECA Toys Disney's Gargoyles Ultimates Goliath. Now, is the scale perfect? No. Do I care? No, because given the fact that these are my top 3 favorite fictional characters of all time from any media ever, you guys better damn well know that whenever I have the chance to throw all 3 of these guys on screen at the same time, I'm going to take that chance all the way to the motherfucking bank. So with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and what else can I possibly say about this figure that hasn't already been said? If you are looking for the quintessential Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider to go with your Hasbro Marvel Legends collection, then look no further. This is by far the best the Legends line has to offer in regards to this character, bar none. Unless they release a pinless version, which is very much a possibility, considering that Hasbro may have a Ghost Rider Marvel Legends wave up their sleeves, and of course the upcoming Ghost Rider HasLab that should be going live later this year. I'm assuming after Hasbro PulseCon or HasCon, whatever it's called, con. Either way, at the time of the recording of this video, this is the best Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider figure on the market for a 1/12 scale collection. If you do not have this, I pity you, because you need it if you are looking for this character. And he is not cheap these days. So, best of luck in hunting for this guy. I assure you, he will be well worth it, but he will not be cheap. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Flashback Fridays. Stay tuned, we will be getting back to the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse animated figures next week with Superman from Superman the Animated Series. But if you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when awesome characters like Ghost Rider here do not get the recognition and respect that they deserve. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Happy birthday, Johnny Blaze. Happy birthday.